Right, so I was trying to find online something that you could watch, which would be a decent summary of The Merchant of Venice, and there really isn't anything. So I'm going to try and do it really, really quickly. There's a merchant who hasn't got any money, but he wants to go to a place called Belmont because there's a really, really good-looking woman there who's very rich, and he wants to woo her, and if he's got her money, then he'll be set for life. But he needs the money as like a start-up. So he goes to this other merchant, Antonio, and says, Antonio, can you lend me the money? And Antonio's like, well, I'd love to, because you're like my mate, but I can't because I've got loads of ships at the moment, and they're out at sea, and all my money's invested in them. And they're umming and ahhing, what can we do? And then they think, I know, we can go and see one of the moneylenders. And they choose this guy called Shylock, who's Jewish. Only Jewish people are allowed to lend money. Christians frown upon it. You can't do that. It's against God's law. But the Jews aren't really allowed to do anything else, so they become the moneylenders. So anyway, they go and see this guy called Shylock, and they have been horrible to Shylock in the past. So Shylock agrees to lend them the money on one condition, that if they don't pay in time the money back to him, then his interest is going to be £1 of flesh. And the two merchants are like laughing, oh, no problem, we'll sort it, not a problem. But what happens is, the merchant, he goes off to Belmont to see the good-looking one, and they fall in love and everything's great. But in the meantime, the other merchant, Antonio, all his ships are lost. And so he hasn't got the money to pay back Shylock. And so Shylock takes him to court, and he demands his £1 of flesh. And there's a problem then, isn't there? Because we don't want Antonio to die because he's a Christian. So anyway, Portia, who's the good-looking babe in Belmont, she dresses up as a man, and she goes back to Venice, and she pretends to be a lawyer, and she fights the court case against Shylock and defeats him. And Shylock has lost everything. And that's what Shakespeare and people thought was a comedy.